Welcome back to my channel Automation Hub Sarthak, and today we will do something which is very important, that is methods in Java. And I'll teach you some nice tips and tricks about Java which could help you in methods in Java which could help you in your interviews. So let's go ahead. I've created a package methods, and immediately I'll make a class. I'll make the class methods as well. Making big classes makes it unnecessarily lengthy. I'm not gonna make the screen size larger for the text font, because this might take a little bit more of space and I cannot manage making it too big. Okay, fine. So if you remember, this is a method. If you remember my videos both in Hindi and English, I have clearly mentioned about a main method, but today we will be working mostly with other methods, and we will try to use main method to pull them in. So now before we start, let's understand what exactly is a method. So the bookish definition says methods are independent units of execution. Okay, what does this mean? This means they have a certain logic and they can execute that logic under certain conditions. And what are those conditions? We'll get to know. So this means this line is rather more important. Methods are independent units of execution. So how do you actually construct a method? How do you design a method? It's very simple. What is this? This is an access modifier or specifier. So you need to have an access specifier, okay, or a modifier. Then this is a static keyword. Okay, you may want to keep it static, may not be, so this is optional. Okay, and then what do you have? What is void? Void is a return type. So I'll not write void here, I'll write return type. Okay, why? I'll tell you later. And then what do you have? Then you have the name of the method, which is main. Okay, here it is main, so in other methods we'll give the other names. Name of the method, then which will be followed by the method body. Okay, so this is the body of main method within this curly braces. Okay, so by doing this you can actually create a method. One second, hold on, I'm getting a call, I need to attend this. These bank people, they only call for loans and all. God help me. Anyways, sorry guys. So see what it says, methods are independent units of execution. So this is a method body, main method, it has its own body. So you will write the logic inside here. So this will have its own independent area for execution, right? So this unit is the method unit, right? So similarly, when we write another method, what if I write a method here, public void test method, I'll write inside the main method body. What will happen? It will throw an error. Why? Because then you are defying this definition of methods. Then how is this independent? This is not remaining independent, right? This is becoming part of a main method, which is not possible. So you cannot do this mistake. Many people do. Okay, don't do this mistake. Okay, they are independent units of execution. Methods cannot be defined inside a method. One method cannot be defined inside a method. Yes, they can be written parallelly. Say this and this are parallel. You write 1,000 methods, no one gives a shit. The thing is, you will have to define them in a parallel way. So public void sample. Okay, let's say this is another method. So I'll write public void on Java, another method. So I've written 3 different methods, and they are all independent of each other. They have their own identity, they have their own body, they have their own access modifier, they have their own return type, they have their own names, they have their independent bodies. So you cannot write a method inside a method. I hope I'm clear with this. Now let's say, for example, this is a main method. So what I'll do is I'll just give a print statement. This is the main method. I'll just write a very simple statement here, and this is a test method. So what I'll do is I'll teach you something about these methods right now. So let's go ahead. I'll give a SISO. This is the test method. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll write certain logic here. You remember I added one definition. This means they have a certain logic. Yes, they have a certain logic and they can execute that logic under certain conditions. So let's first make the logic and then we will, what conditions are there to actually make them execute, we'll learn that later. Let's make a logic. Let's say for example, this test method has an integer I whose value is 10. Okay, let's say it has another integer j whose value is 20, and they have another integer k which is nothing but the sum of I and j. Okay, now what do you want? You want to return the value of k. Return is a keyword, that is why it is red. It should start with lowercase. Now we want to return something. So what do we actually get to return? We are not able to get anything. Why? Because of one thing. What is the return type of this method? What is the return type? Void. If the return type is void, what will it return? Nothing, null. So in case you want to return this value of k, what should you do? First analyze what you are returning. We are returning k. Okay, please guys listen to this very carefully. We are returning k. What is k? What is the data type of k? K is integer. So technically you are returning integer k, but in case you write int k here, what will happen? Let's see. I'm not, because anyways it is showing error, right? I'm still keeping it like this. But you see, integer is actually what? Integer is a data type. But when you are returning something, you don't need to type the name of the data type. You just have to type the variable of the data type. Some people do. You know why I'm writing like this? Just to showcase that these are the silly mistakes that people do. Because see, already you have defined k. You don't need to, type the data type inside it. It will return itself. Java is smart enough, but people do this mistake. That is why I'm telling you. Now, what is it? K. What is k? K is an integer. So, what should we do? We will return k, and what should we return? Void is not possible here. So instead, can we write int? Yes. Now the error is gone. Okay? I hope you understood this. Since k was an integer, okay, and we have initialized k as an integer data type and we are trying to return the value of k, that's why we are returning the return type to be integer. We cannot use void. Void will not return anything. If you want to use void, fine, use void, but then don't use this statement. Makes no sense, because you want something in return but you are asking, but your return type is void, so JVM will get confused. So you'll make it int. Oh my god, I'm getting non-stop messages. Wait, I need to put my phone on silent. Sorry guys. Okay, now let's write a logic here. See, we are still in this particular definition. We have not even moved to this. Okay, we are not executing, we are writing the logic. Let's say there is another logic here. I will write this is the sample method. Okay, now let me write a logic here. String str1 equals to let's say Python. Okay, string str2 equals to PHP. Okay, string str3 equals to str1 plus str2. This is your logic. Now you want return str3. Will it work? No, it will throw an error. Why? Again, what is the data type of str3? It is string. And what you are returning? You are returning string. And what is the return type already mentioned in the method? Void. So what should we do? Replace this with string. Why? Because you want to return a string. So your return type should be string in the method. That is this logic. Similarly, you can try for boolean. Let's say I'll write boolean b1 equals to 1 less than 2. Okay, boolean b2 equals to 2 less than 1. Return b2. So will it return b2? What is 2 less than 1? It is this thing, this bloody thing is true, right? Sorry, this thing is true. 2 is less than 1. No, this thing is false, and you are trying to return this b2. Technically you are trying to return false, but what is b2 and b1 which you are trying to return? b2 is what? Boolean. What is the return type you have mentioned in the method? Void. So what do you need to replace with? Boolean. Simple. This will work. Very simple logic. Okay, now if I run this code, what will happen? Even if I run this code, the output will only be, this is the main method. This will be the only output, because you know the control only comes in the main method, and these methods will not get to execute their codes and logics unless and until there are certain conditions they satisfy. Now, if you remember, I have created this main method and I have created 3 different methods. One returns an integer, one returns a string, and one returns a boolean. And can you see static in any of these 3? No, you don't. These are simple methods, simple non-static methods. They do not have static associated with it. Static and non-static I'll explain later. As of now, just trust me that if you remember, in my previous video of classes and objects, I told you how can you call something which is non-static in nature. I did not specifically mention static and non-static, but I definitely called something known as objects, and via the object reference I called all the methods and global variables which I declared. What are global variables? What are local variables? I'll tell you each and everything. As of now, let's go ahead and make object of this method, object of this class. Okay, so what is that class name? Methods. Obj ref object reference equal to new methods. Okay, so we have created the object of this particular class. Okay, this is the object, this is the object reference. I am reiterating so that you people don't get confused. Now with this object reference, okay, what should I do? I need to call. So what is my first method which I need to call? Test. I'll call it. Works fine. Okay, then next is sample. I'll call it. Works fine. Then next is Java. I'll call it. Works fine. Now even if I execute this, since you have called the method, it will get some logic, but you will, many people will say, okay, now if you call this, test will have 10 plus 20 30, because you are returning 30, and then this one will give you Python PHP because you are concatenating these 2 strings, and this one b2 will return false. So let's find out. Most of you will be wrong here, because the answer will be totally different. It will only print the print statements in these 2 methods, and here we have not mentioned anything. Let's go ahead and mention this is a boolean return type method, something like this. I'm just typing anything, okay, just to make certain sense. Now I run this code. See, you will say, okay, why have I not got the value of k here? Why have I not got the value of this string? Why have I not got the value of b2? Why? Because it is as simple as that. See, the thing is, you have not allocated any memory location to these particular returns. You have returned something, but where have you kept it? You haven't kept it anywhere. Have you? No. Did you make a print statement? No. So what? How can you ask Java to print it for you directly? No. Object reference can refer, but to actually print that output, you have to give a certain allocation to these return types which you are calling. And how do you do that? Very simple. Let's go step by step. For this first method, okay, using object reference, you have called the method. First step is done. Now what? You want return k, okay? Now, so what do you need to do? What is k? This is nothing but a return type, okay? So what you can do is you can type int l equal to this. Very simple, okay? So now what will do, it will call this as well as you're assigning a value here. So let me print l. Now let me run this. See, it is getting printed 30. So now I'll again tell you why. See, here you are just referring to that method to call a certain logic which does not include system.out.println. To call a certain logic, you have to again check the data type of the same. Here the data type of the return value is integer. So if you want to print this, you have to initialize another variable with that object reference and dot test, and then when you print this thing, it will come out. It's very simple, guys. And here sample is what? Sample has our string. So I'll make string str4 equals to this. Very simple. Okay, now I will print the value of str4. So similarly, this is a boolean. Boolean, let's say b4 equal to this. So I am accessing b4, as simple as that. Control F11. See, I am getting the value of 30. I am getting Python PHP. Okay, Python PHP. I am also getting the value of false. So this is how you are actually able to call different return types inside a method. Of course, this is also a method, this is also a method, and this is also a method, but they have different return types. And if you want to print the logic inside it, so the condition I have explained, the condition, these are the conditions. Condition number 1, you have to create the object if that is a non-static method. That is condition number 1. Condition number 2, you will have to initialize another variable in the main method to actually call them. You know, allocate is certain. This is allocation. This is that you are allocating a certain memory and you are allocating a certain value and trying to print the logic. This is allocation of a value to print the logic inside the main method for these methods which cannot print the logic on their own. They have to be dependent on these certain conditions. I hope you have understood by now, but this session is not over yet. Why? If you remember, I told you access specifier. Access specifier, how many types of access specifiers are there? If you remember specifically, I had told you in the very beginning, there could be public, there could be private, that could be protected, and there is default. So let's create a method using these different kind of access specifiers or modifiers or whatever. So, and there is one more thing. People tend to get confused that main method will always come on top. No, there is no such rule that main method has to come on top. No, you can put main method anywhere. Main method doesn't say I have to be on the top just below the class. No, that is, we are used to designing like this. That's why it's very, you know, innate in us that this is how it will look. No, irrespective, you can do anything. So let's go and make a private method. Okay, private void, let's say bedroom. Okay, so this is a private method. Now if I run this without calling, will it work? No, we have to call this. So using object reference objref dot bedroom, call this, you run the program, you will see this is a private method is printed. Yes, so works fine. Now let's try with protected. protected void, let's say our vault is protected, for example. So I'll just do sysO. This is a protected method. Okay, now let me call, okay, objref dot vault. I'll run the program. See, this is a protected method is calling. Now there is one very important interview question. They'll say, can you make a method inside a class with access specifier default? This is the question. Answer is no, you cannot. Why? I'll tell you why. Default void trying to make a default method, it will not work. You know why? Because I'll not show you the error. The answer is no. Default methods can only be created inside an interface. This is the answer. This is the exact interview answers which you have to give. You can hover over the error and you can see default methods are only allowed in interfaces, not anywhere else. Why? I'll tell you. Because default has a certain connection with interface and there is a certain connection with the final keyword of it. That is why you cannot make a default method inside a class. This is a very important interview question. Most of the people do not know the answer of this. Please remember this. This is a very important interview question. Okay, I am marking this thing as a comment. Okay, I hope guys you liked this session. This is mostly about methods and returning methods. Of course, there will be one more session on methods and it will be about method overloading. I do not want to tell method overloading in this particular video, because it will unnecessarily make it extra long. I think this much concept is enough for you to go and practice. So please do practice and do let me know if you have any doubts, and please do not forget to subscribe to my channel Automation Hub Sarthak and support me in taking this forward. Thank you so much guys. Sarthak here signing off.